Good evening, and you're very welcome to the 2020 Trinity Innovation Awards. My name is Leonard Hobbs. I'm the Director of Trinity Research and Innovation, and I'm delighted to welcome you here to our online event this evening. This is the fourth time we've had such an event, but of course it's the first time we've been online, and we're delighted to welcome not only our many colleagues from Trinity College, but also our colleagues and friends from around the world who are calling in this evening. At Trinity College, we are a research-intensive university. And in the unit that I run, in the unit of research and innovation, we're delighted and honoured to work with the many talented colleagues and academic colleagues in assisting them in finding the funding for the research so that they can execute the kind of world-class excellence that we do see, and indeed the kind of research excellence that builds a fantastic baseline from which we draw so many amazing innovation outputs. And it's this evening we're going to be looking at the innovation, and we're looking forward to recognising our peers in areas such as an inventor category, also a founders category for those who found companies, ones to watch, the emerging talented innovators in our teams, an industry engagement award. We're going to have a societal impact award, and then building up to the lifetime achievement award for one of our colleagues, and then the main award of the evening, so to speak, the Provost Innovation Award coming at the end. During the evening, we'll be recalling the nominees for each of those categories, and also, of course, you'll get an opportunity now to meet the winners, who are going to say a few words as well at each juncture. Also, I'm delighted to say that we'll be introducing to you 4 campus companies. These are companies that met the criteria to become campus companies this year, and we'll be introducing those to you by video during the proceedings this evening. So it's been an unusual year. I think as I sit here myself in Kildare by candlelight, because I've just had a power cut, coming to you by phone, I think we've all struggled through the year. But I just want to acknowledge not just my colleagues at Trinity College for the great support that they've had for us all during the year, but also I'd like to personally thank my team, particularly Mary Tracy, Declan Weldon, and Raquel Harper, who were my management team, and their teams indeed, for the great support that they did and the great transition they made in moving to an online process for the year. And I do want to sincerely thank them for all their efforts in that regard. So without further ado, I'd like to just ask you, please do interact with us this evening. There is an opportunity for you to ask a question, well, maybe not a question, but certainly make a comment, congratulate, tell us where you are in the world. If you're calling in from Kildare, West Cork, Dublin, Canada, America, wherever you are, please let us know. Say hello, add a comment, congratulate. Please do interact with us on the Q&A part of your site there that you're looking at. So without further ado, I'm delighted to introduce you to our Provost, Dr. Paddy Prendergast.
Thank you very much, Leonard, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 4th Annual Trinity Innovation Awards. As we begin our transition now from level 5 to level 3, it's good to be here online with you all, celebrating something as important as achievement in innovation, something for which Trinity is a national and European leader. It's now 7 years since we launched our first innovation and entrepreneurship strategy, which established the Office of Corporate Partnership and Knowledge Exchange, and also 7 years since we launched our Student Accelerator Launchbox. And already at that time, innovation had become a particular strength of Trinity's. And bringing additional resources and focus as we did then has yielded significant returns. We continue to excel in national and EU competitive research funding rounds, and our talented PIs, with the support of the professional staff in Trinity Research and Innovation, annually win over 30% of national and Horizon 2020 funding, and a whopping 50% of the ERC awards granted to Ireland. And for the 6th year running, PitchBook has ranked Trinity #1 in Europe for educating graduates who go on to become successful entrepreneurs as measured by the level of VC-backed ventures that we have. And in the last 2 years, Trinity has created more high-performance startups, HPSUs, than in the previous 10 years. So more in the last 2 years than the previous 10. And this places Trinity at the top of the leadership board in Ireland in terms of HPSUs, and indeed positions us very competitively vis-a-vis our peer universities around Europe. Last year, we also opened the Trinity Business School, with the second floor of the Trinity Business School dedicated to Tangent, Trinity's Ideas Workspace, which brings together in one place Trinity's dynamic programs in innovation, creative thinking, and entrepreneurship for staff, students, and the wider innovation community beyond the campus. And these programs include undergraduate and postgraduate certificates in innovation and entrepreneurship, which were the first of their kind in Ireland. And this week just gone by, Tangent got approved at the University Council 2 additional courses, one in climate entrepreneurship and another in healthcare innovation. So this is a very dynamic, active area for Trinity. And Tangent indeed is central to Trinity's innovation strategy that includes plans for a new campus at Grand Canal Quay and the establishment of a globally competitive innovation district in our capital city of Dublin. We've just submitted planning permission for the Innovation Hub, the first early activation on our campus at Grand Canal Dock, which will house many companies and will start operations in Q1 2022. There'll be also a cafe and a public square associated with that, and programming for it will begin in the new year. As Leonard has said, this year just gone by, or will soon to go by, has been unlike any other. Some research projects have been delayed through closure of labs and so on, but Trinity research and innovation have been front and foremost through the contribution of our professors to the national discourse on topics ranging from health and well-being to economic impact, as well, of course, as to the actual research towards cures for COVID-19 and vaccines. And this evening, we recognise how important Trinity's response to COVID has been through the Societal Impact Award. Trinity's innovation output, and we must, I think, always remember this, and I always keep saying it, is underpinned by deep research, underpinned by our 19 research teams distributed across all 24 schools in the university and 5 major Trinity Research Institutes and 3 SFI centres, spanning nanoscience to neuroscience, digital humanities to creative technologies, from immunology and oncology. If Trinity is a high global performer in innovation, it's because of the excellence of the research carried out by academics and researchers and the support given to them by the professional staff in TNRI. So it's right that we've created these innovation awards to acknowledge and recognise achievement. We have 7 categories, including the Lifetime Achievement and the Provost Innovation Award. And it goes without saying that competition for these awards has been intense, given how much talent we have to choose from here in Trinity. It's the same with all our awards, that the competition is intense, and being nominated is very much an achievement in itself. It's vitally important that we recognise and celebrate the achievements of our colleagues. But also, the awards give us the opportunity to put an emphasis on innovation and to measure how it's impacting on the university overall. The different award categories allow us to track the different kinds of innovation and the activities of people at different stages in their careers. Innovation is very much a community activity. Maybe that's why we're good at it in Trinity. And there are many people to thank tonight for their support for these awards for innovation in Trinity. And I'd like to thank Knowledge Transfer Ireland and Enterprise Ireland for supporting the Technology Transfer Unit in Trinity, to the national and international funding agencies that fund the research that underpins innovation, the IDA for their active collaboration in engaging companies, the industry groups, AmCham, IBEC, Asia Matters, and the Ireland-Canada Business Association, and our industry partners who support and collaborate with our academics. And a special word of thanks to Atlantic Bridge for their ongoing collaboration with the Bridge Fund. And finally, thanks to our winners and our nominees, and indeed all the staff who are constantly seeking ways to make our research and scholarship impactful. The difference that you make is immense and it's inspirational. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Provost, for those words. So I'd like to move us on now, and our first piece this evening is to look at one of these campus companies that the Provost referred to, and the one we're going to look at first is Way2B.
Way2B started back in 2014 as a student project. My co-founder Robbie and I were given the challenge to help integrate people with intellectual disabilities into society. After interviewing hundreds of stakeholders, we realized that not being able to travel independently was keeping this group from accessing education, employment, and social activities. So we came up with Way2B, an accessible smartphone and smartwatch solution that offers an intuitive navigation experience. The user chooses where to go from a list with familiar names and pictures, and then follows icon-based directions on their watch. We have now come a long way since that student project. We conducted a research project at Trinity in 2016, and upon positive results, we were awarded the commercialization grant by Enterprise Ireland in 2018. We have spun out in 2020 and have received the Competitive Start Fund this year, as well as the EIT Health Head Start grant. We are now working with the European Space Agency to use machine learning to suggest routes that are safe and accessible to our users. We're also working with local authorities and charities in Ireland, the UK, and Portugal to roll out Way2B and help more and more people with higher support needs to become more independent.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Aoife Tierney, and I am the IP Development Manager in Trinity Research and Innovation. My colleague Samantha Williams and I will be presenting the 7 awards this evening. So our first award is the award for Campus Company Founder. This award is presented to an academic who has played a pivotal role in founding an investable, scalable campus company with high potential. So tonight's nominees are Dr. Michael Southern, Dr. Vincent Kelly, and Dr. Stephen Connon, all for Azodyne, Dr. Judy Kelly for Neuropath, and Professor Alosha Smolic for Volograms. So congratulations to all our nominees. And now on to the winner. So tonight's winner is Professor of Creative Technologies with the School of Computer Science and Statistics. As well as leading the 20-strong SFI research group vSense, he was a pivotal co-founder of Volograms, a Trinity campus company that spun out in 2018. Volograms has now raised over €2.5 million in funding, created 14 jobs, and has become an Enterprise Ireland high potential startup. It has gained significant commercial traction with a wide range of customers, including creators, brands, institutions, and other professionals that want to bring immersive storytelling to the next level. As well as co-founding the company, our winner is currently scientific advisor to Volograms. 3 of his postdoctoral researchers were also co-founders in Volograms, and with his support, each of them has joined the company with a full-time senior employment position. We believe that this type of exemplary role model in campus company formation is worthy of recognition. So I am very pleased to announce that tonight's Campus Company Founder Award goes to Professor Alosha Smolic. I think we are going to see Alosha on video now.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm deeply honored to receive this wonderful award, which I take partially as a recognition for my own research in VR/AR content creation over the last almost 20 years. But most of all, it is, of course, a recognition for our startup company, Volograms, and everyone involved in that. So starting from the Science Foundation, who gave us the basic funding for our research lab vSense, where we did the basic prototype development together with my co-founders Rafa Pajes, Jan Ondrej, and Kostas Amplianitis. And once we had that, I'd also like to thank Trinity Research and Innovation, who helped us significantly to turn a bunch of nerds into a successful team of entrepreneurs, who were then successful in acquiring the necessary funding. So we got that initially from Enterprise Island and from Atlantic Bridge, but lately also from Shure Valley. So I'm happy to see Volograms thriving. We are now 15 people, while I'm involved more in an advisory role, but which also gives me time to think about new ideas and maybe new startups. So thank you very much.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Samantha Williams, and I'm Licensing Manager in the Office of Corporate Partnership and Knowledge Exchange in Trinity Research and Innovation. Together with Aoife Tierney, my colleague, I'm delighted to be here to help present this year's awards and to represent the rest of our Trinity Research and Innovation team. The next category is the award for industry engagement. This award recognises outstanding achievement by a Trinity researcher or research team in successfully building relationships and collaborating with industry with research programmes that have delivered significant value for the university, the enterprise partner, and the programme sponsors. The nominees for this award are Professor Danny Kelly, Professor Maeve Lowry, Dr. Francois Pitti, and Dr. Fred Sheedy. This year, in this particular category, we have two winners. Our first winner is Professor of Translational Cancer Medicine at Trinity and a consultant medical oncologist at St. James's Hospital. She is clinical research lead for the Trinity St. James's Cancer Institute and chairperson of the Cancer Molecular Diagnostics Advisory Group. She specialises in the treatment of patients with gastrointestinal cancers, and her research focuses on preclinical and clinical studies of novel therapeutics for gastric, pancreatic, and liver cancers. Her clinical and translational research involves design and construction of phase 1 to 2 clinical trials in patients with gastrointestinal malignancies. She works closely with industry to develop core collaborative projects with the potential to impact care of cancer patients on both an individual and disease-specific level. And she has engaged with many leading international partners, including MSD, Astellas, Exelixis, Basilea, AstraZeneca, and Genuity Science. I am delighted to tell you that our first winner is Professor Maeve Lowry. Many congratulations to Maeve. Our second winner is an Usher Assistant Professor in Biochemistry and Immunology. His research focuses on examining macrophage function in health and disease. He pioneered mRNA research in the field of innate immunity, and his academic excellence was evidenced early in his career when he first authored a Nature Immunology publication during his graduate studies. Our winner has engaged with industry very proactively, and his interactions go far and wide. His Irish collaborators span the whole length of the country and include Kerry Foods and Monaghan Mushrooms. In fact, he currently has multiple industry awards, which vary from research service agreements to collaborative programs. In particular, his expertise has attracted both Irish and international companies in the food sector interested in devising the mechanism of action of food bioactives on the human immune system. Our second winner is Dr. Fred Sheedy. Many congratulations to Fred. I would now like to invite Maeve, and then Fred to accept their awards and to say a few words.
Thanks, Samantha. I'm delighted to receive this lovely award this evening. And thanks, Leonard and team, for organising the event. I'm delighted to get this award. You know, I just returned to Ireland 3 years ago, and I've been so impressed and happy over that time with the level of engagement and enthusiasm among industry collaborators, both in the area of cancer clinical trials and in lab-based translational research. And this year has been an exceptionally challenging one on the hospital campus. We had some good news where we learned that our Trinity St. James's Cancer Institute had achieved designation as a cancer institute by the OECI, the Organisation for European Cancer Institutes. It's a big deal. We're the first cancer centre in Ireland to receive such a designation. And this is really a great foundation for us to build on industry collaborations in partnership in clinical care and education, in basic translational and clinical research. And I look forward to working with many of you going forward as we build on this in the future. Thank you.
Thanks very much to College and the Provost and Trinity Research and Innovation for recognising the work that I've been doing with this award. And indeed, really I'd like to thank all the staff at Trinity Research and Innovation who helped so much get these various projects off the ground over the last 3 years and continue to help running the various projects. And of course, to my different industry partners who took a chance, I suppose, on a young PI wanting to understand the interaction between nutrients and the immune system in a bit more detail. And I guess given everything that's happened in the last year, that doesn't seem so wacky anymore. I'd also really like to thank the funding bodies who've supported all this work. And in particular, I think Enterprise Ireland have been really, really helpful, not just funding the work, but getting various projects off the ground and helping, I suppose, researchers see the impact of their work beyond the lab bench. And finally today, I'd really like to thank the people who actually do the work and make sure all these projects get off the ground, and that's the researchers in the lab. And it's been a very tough year for any job, but of course, it's been very tough doing research as well. And so with the support of our school and TBSI, it's been really great that we can get back into the lab and continue our work. So really, I guess I'd like to dedicate the award to them as well. So thanks very, very much for the recognition.
Well, congratulations to Fred and to Maeve. Great to hear from you, and thanks for being with us this evening. So next we have another campus company for you to see, and this time it's Cara Robotics.
The methods used to disinfect hospitals haven't changed in more than 100 years. We're still cleaning rooms in the exact same ways we did during the Spanish flu pandemic. These methods are ineffective, resource intensive, unreliable, and put frontline workers at risk. At Cara, we've developed a robotic cleaning system that can rapidly disinfect rooms in a fraction of the time that it normally takes human cleaning teams. Our solution does so using UV light. And what makes Violet truly unique is that it has the ability to operate safely alongside people in the settings where it's used. This means that we don't need to evacuate rooms prior to use, enabling us to deploy it more frequently and more locations than is possible using existing UV disinfection technology. Violet builds on more than a decade of cutting-edge research in the areas of robotics, artificial intelligence and user-centered design conducted here in Trinity College. In March of this year, we validated a prototype of this system in an Irish hospital with the support of the HSE. And since then, our attention has been on the development of a new and improved version of the Violet robot, which I'm pleased to say has been completed, and we look forward to launching it in just a few days at the Web Summit conference.
So, our next award this evening is the Ones to Watch Award. This award is presented to up-and-coming entrepreneurial academics whose research is most likely to result in the next campus company, commercial license, or industry engagement. Essentially, these are the people we think will keep us busy for the next few years. So, the nominees in this category are Dr. John Dinsmore, Dr. Sarah Doyle, Dr. Rocco Lupoi, Dr. Marco Ruffini, and Dr. Rebecca Usherwood, excuse me. So tonight we have two winners in this category, similar to the last one. So our first winner is a telecoms researcher in the School of Computer Science and Statistics. His research centers on evolving next generation networks, including fiber to the home and 5G. He focuses on software-defined networks and network visualization, and through this has extensive collaborations with industry, including Intel, Vodafone, and Facebook. He is the fulcrum of Trinity's interaction with Dublin Smart Cities through the deployment of a 5G base with dense air on campus. He recently secured extensive funding from SFI to build the new Open Ireland Telecoms testbed and has spearheaded Trinity's application to become a member of the Global Telecom Infrastructure Project. Furthermore, he is very active within international telecom standards bodies, and one of his many patents has been declared as a standard essential patent to the Broadband Forum. Congratulations to our first recipient of the One to Watch Award, Professor Marco Ruffini. Congratulations, Marco. Our second winner in this category has been Assistant Professor in Immunology with the School of Medicine since 2012. She was recently elected a Fellow to the College and was an ICS Milstein Young Investigator Award recipient in 2018. She has secured over €3 million of competitive research funding, including an inaugural Irish Research Council laureate in 2018. She has an impressive track record of working with industry, partnering with the likes of GSK, Infosome, Regeneron, and Novartis, and is currently involved in securing a major research partnership with a leading pharmaceutical company. She is also co-founder of Visiocline Limited, a future Trinity spin-out with Dr. Matthew Campbell and Professor Pete Adamson. It gives me great pleasure to announce the second winner of our Ones to Watch Award is Dr. Sarah Doyle. So we will now hear from Marco and then Sarah.
Thank you. So I have to say that I'm greatly honored to receive this award from Trinity in front of so many of my colleagues and fellows. And I just want to say a few words of thanks. So this award is not the outcome of just my work, of course, it's all the research team, but also support from many people in Trinity. I received great support from the Connect Research Center, and I mean from the admins, the finance, and the education and public engagement, and of course the industry license. And again, to mention also the Trinity Research and Innovation Office. And I mean, it's great that they are always ready to meet you, and they make you feel as if they're actually enjoying it. So it's a great attitude, I think, to do that. So I received this award with great appreciation, and I want to say that it's very important, I think, that the college keeps encouraging innovation also with this type of ceremonies, because we all know it takes a lot of effort to develop an idea and the science behind it, but innovation doesn't really stop there. So you have to put more effort. It's prototyping, meet patent attorneys, go to standardization meetings, which, for an academic, in fairness, is quite unfamiliar, and they push you out of your comfort zone. So, and the other path is that you do all of this, but you're not sure where it's going to go. Okay, so but you still push through, because that's really the only way you're going to find out. So I think this makes this award and this ceremony even so meaningful. So I just want to finish saying thanks for the award. Thanks for running Trinity and the Research Office for running this Innovation Award night. And thanks to all the people that are putting and have put hard work to make it all possible. So thanks again for the award. Thanks.
Hi, thank you very much. I'm delighted to receive this award on behalf of my lab as well. This has been a very strange year, but it's been a really exciting year in terms of kind of developing lots of relationships with some major pharmaceutical companies, and I'm really excited about the future that these collaborations hold. With that in mind, it's important to say that these contracts don't get over the line very easily, and so I'd really like to echo the thanks that the others have said for the team in Trinity Research and Innovation, and in particular shout out to Chris Keeley, who has been super at keeping things ticking along, for me at least. No man is an island when it comes to research. I'm really fortunate to be surrounded by an incredibly talented group of scientists, both in my own lab, and I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you to my lab for the dedication and hard work that they put into the research projects, and also to the people who mentored me over the years. In particular, people like Luke O'Neill, Porrick Fallon, Pete Humphreys and Matt Campbell have really shown me the benefits that can be reaped when you really engage with industry and innovative research. And so finally, last but not least, definitely want to thank the research funding agencies who support our research. So we've been funded very successfully by Science Foundation Ireland, Health Research Board Ireland, the IRC, and National Children's Research Centre and Fighting Blindness Ireland over the years. And without their funding support, we really wouldn't have the data to show to our industry partners and get them interested in working with us. And so thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah. The next category is the Societal Impact Award. It is presented to an academic whose research has had a significant impact for Trinity, society and industry. In true fashion for 2020, it's been decided to depart from the norm for this award. This year, we would very much like to recognise a cohort of Trinity researchers rather than an individual, and the award is specific to the outstanding response to the exceptional circumstances occurring during the COVID-19 pandemic. The Societal Impact Award is therefore this year recognising and celebrating our colleagues who have supported national efforts to control the impact of COVID-19. Their dynamic participation in government groups and dedicated contribution to the national discourse on topics ranging from health to well-being to business has had tangible, substantial societal impact for Ireland and beyond. The Trinity researchers being recognised are very much at the forefront of efforts to fight COVID-19, with the aim of ensuring that our communities and society are reassured and protected. The responses involved many of Trinity's schools, institutes, centres and clinical settings, and it has been wide-ranging. Some noteworthy examples are pioneering involvement in contact tracing and viral testing involving key partnerships with industry, securing significant philanthropic and state funding to advance COVID-19 research, and enthusiastic and devoted public sharing of expertise and knowledge for the benefit of society. On behalf of colleagues involved in Trinity's COVID-19 response, we are extremely pleased to have Professor Aideen Long with us this evening. She is Professor in Molecular Medicine, Director of the Trinity Translational Institute and co-lead of the Trinity COVID-19 Immunology Project. And I'd like to invite Professor Long to accept this award on behalf of her colleagues.
Thank you so much for this award. I'm honoured and I have to say humbled to accept this award on behalf of my colleagues here in Trinity. You know, colleagues who have supported the national effort to, as you say, control the impact of COVID-19, and in doing so have really benefited society in many ways and in innovative ways in doing this. Right from the beginning, you know, colleagues have engaged from clearing out their labs of PPE and bringing equipment to where it was needed at the start of the pandemic, to engaging in contact tracing. And then as time went on, of course, our researchers have been very, very important in engaging with the media and in educating our nation in areas to include vaccines and therapeutics, the, you know, psychological and sociological impacts of COVID-19. And we've all become armchair, as a nation, armchair immunologists and armchair public health experts and armchair epidemiologists. But in truth, it has been so important and will be so important going forward, the media impact of our researchers in this area of COVID-19. Behind the scenes, people have engaged with committees, be it NEFIT, subgroups, testing, advisory groups, etc., etc. A long list of advisory committees, and that has been so important nationally. Research in Trinity has been outwardly facing. You know, our own research hub has reached out to centres all over the country that is involved in COVID-19 research, engaged with industry and engaged with the Northern Ireland researchers to form North-South interactions that are all very important. The Trinity medics have been important, obviously at the coalface. They've also engaged in many of the activities I've just mentioned, and they have engaged in our research very importantly. So in multiple ways, Trinity researchers and Trinity staff have engaged in this societal battle, if you like, nationally and internationally against COVID-19. So on behalf of all my colleagues, I'd really like to thank Trinity Innovation and Research for this award. So thank you so much.
And congratulations again to you, Aideen, and to all our colleagues. Actually, I mean, on behalf of Trinity, could I say that you make us proud with the way you reacted to and the way you really took on the challenge of the pandemic. So, can I just again remind people that please do join us in the chat. If you're just tell us where you're calling in from. Send some congratulations to our winners and our nominees. We'd love to hear from you. And to move us on now, we'll have our third campus company this year, and it's Calibre AI.
News editing has come a long way from the days of print, when the news editor would often sit behind a desk like this one, leisurely putting together the pages of the day for publication the next morning. Now the news cycle is by the minute, and the risk of publication of defamatory and or harmful content, potentially costing hundreds of thousands or millions, is greater than ever. Calibre AI provides a solution to this potentially very costly problem by detecting such content in advance of publication and warning the writer. Right now, our main product is a browser extension, which is being tested on a volunteer basis by 50 journalists spread across more than 20 news organisations, including the Financial Times and The Guardian. Having come through the commercialisation fund, we've just received our first round of private funding and are now officially HPSU approved.
So our next award this evening is our Inventors Award. This award covers the bread and butter of what the Technology Transfer Office in Trinity Research and Innovation do. So we present this award to academics whose innovative research has led to the creation of intellectual property that has subsequently been licensed to industry or to a campus company. And the nominees are Dr. Matthew Campbell, Dr. Vincent Kelly, Dr. Conor McGinn, Dr. Bruce Murphy, and Dr. Marco Ruffini. Once again, this was highly competitive, so we have two awardees in this category. Our first winner is an associate professor in the School of Biochemistry and Immunology. He joined Trinity in 2003 and was appointed as an associate professor of biochemistry in 2017. He has been recognized for his dedication to innovation, the creation of intellectual property, and his commitment to commercialization. Since 2009, he has submitted 7 invention disclosure forms and is an inventor on 5 patents, 3 of which are licensed to a Trinity campus company. And I'm pleased to say that we have 2 under negotiation with an Irish healthcare company. He is co-founder and scientific director of Azadyne, a Trinity spin-out, offering a novel approach to the treatment of autoimmune diseases. In 2011, he set up the transgenics facility at Trinity, which is the only one of its kind on the island of Ireland. The facility provides services to both the research community and industry, and is currently positioning to serve the emerging cell and gene therapy market. Our winner is an innovator and an entrepreneurial academic, and is well deserving of this award. Our first winner in the Inventors category is Dr. Vincent Kelly. Congratulations, Vinny. Our second winner in this category has excelled in creating inventions to target major challenges in healthcare and deliver new medical devices to improve the lives of patients worldwide. Alongside his considerable commitments to teaching in the School of Engineering, he leads and trains a highly successful group of postgrad and postdoc researchers. He is the Deputy Director of the Trinity Centre for Bioengineering, as well as engaging widely with industry as an investigator with the SFI Amber Centre. He is a prolific inventor, having filed almost 20 patents through Trinity Research and Innovation. However, it is his success at translating these inventions towards commercialization that marks his extraordinary quality as an inventor and innovator. Of note, he has supported several high-profile campus companies, including Proverum, Celio, Crevalve, and One Projects, along with the current pipeline projects, including Starling Surgical and Myvar. Our second winner this evening is Dr. Bruce Murphy. I think we're going to hear from Vinny first, and then we will hear from Bruce.
Thank you very much, Aoife. And I'd like to say good evening to everyone, and thank you very much for this award. I'm extremely delighted to accept this. So my research has to be quite blue skies, or I mean, some people might say it's a little bit lunatic fringe, and I think it's really great that our university affords the academic freedom just to pursue topics that we find of particular interest. And I also think it's really great that the university it recognises the important contribution that our academics can make to society. So, I mean, as Marco and Sarah mentioned earlier as well, I mean, this work it doesn't happen by itself, and awards don't really reflect the great amount of effort that goes in by everybody in making a success of any particular project. So I'd just like to say a couple of thanks to my excellent colleagues in the School of Biochemistry and Immunology. It's a wonderful school to be part of. And also a special mention to my great colleagues in the School of Chemistry, Professor Mike Sudrin and Stephen Conan. And also to the guys in my lab who've been, worked really duligently, and I suppose it's particularly Dr. Claire Fergus and Dr. Tanya Bazak, who's been running the transgenic facility during this COVID time under all the stresses and tribulations that it brings with it. And then finally, I'd just like to say a very special thanks to the people in Trinity Research and Innovation, and I'm sure all of us would agree that really they're fundamental to our successes. And in particular, Emma O'Neill, who's been spectacular, and prior to that, Aoife Tierney and Emily Veriker, and also to Samantha Williams and Neil Gordon. So I just like to say a special thank you to all of you. And yep, thank you very much. I really appreciate this award. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to thank you very much for the award you've decided to give to me this evening. I'm delighted to receive it. And these inventions aren't just individual inventions. They're associated with a group of inventors that generally sit around a table and argue for quite a long time, also known as brainstorming. So there are many co-inventors on all the patents I've filed. And I'm pleased to say some of the devices that we have invented so far have got to patients and are enhancing patients' lives at the moment, and are enhancing clinical decision-making as well. But some people might say the easy bit is inventing, and the implementation is the difficult bit, and this is where the wider team comes in. And I'd like to thank very much the support from the Technology Transfer Office, especially Gordon Elliott, who must be fairly annoyed with the volume of emails I send him and IDFs that come his way. And then also the funders, Enterprise Ireland and EIT Health. And we wouldn't be able to get to patients if it wasn't for these funding opportunities that exist. And finally, the teams that implement the projects and the ideas that service the clinical needs that we research are key to getting these devices to the market. So I'd like to thank you again for the award, and also thank everybody that's involved in the wider circle to develop the devices.
And again, congratulations to Vince and to Bruce, and indeed thank you for your kind words for the team at TRNI. And don't worry about Gordon, Bruce, he loves your emails, so please do keep them coming. So finally, we have our fourth campus company for you to see this evening. And this time it's from Synoptica.
Hi, I'm Brendan.
And I am Steve. And we are from Synoptica Technologies.
At Synoptica, we've created a groundbreaking solution to a major cause of global food waste. Every year, there is over 177 billion of these types of food packs sold around the world. Shockingly, between 3 and 8% of them have already failed by the time they reach the supermarket shelf, causing the food to go off before its use-by date and costing global retailers over €7 billion.
To solve this problem, we created an oxygen-responsive sensor formulation that can be printed directly into the packaging. The printed sensor will help food companies make sure that every pack they send out is intact and in specification. Our ambition is to become a global leader in non-invasive and real-time pack inspection technology.
We're very proud to be a Trinity spin-out company. And we'd like to thank everybody at Trinity, but particularly the School of Chemistry, the Technology Transfer Office and the Amber Cran Centre for all of your support on our journey so far. Thank you.
Our next award is the Lifetime Achievement Award, which is presented to an academic who has had a long-standing and successful career in innovative research, which has led to significant industry and academic collaborations, multiple licenses and products on the market. Our winner this year has dedicated his research career to understanding the molecular pathologies associated with retinal degeneration, which leads to visual impairment or blindness, affecting over 160 million people worldwide. He's somewhat Trinity born and bred, as he carried out both his undergraduate studies and PhD in Trinity in microbiology and genetics, respectively. After some years abroad, including Strasbourg and Queen's in Belfast, we are very pleased that he decided to return to Trinity School of Genetics and Microbiology in 1983. He has published over 300 peer-reviewed papers, which have made a massive impact on our understanding of hereditary retinopathies and the strategies that lead to emerging gene therapies which combat these devastating diseases. This year, I'm delighted to say the award goes to Professor Pete Humphreys, Professor of Medical Molecular Genetics. As an innovator, Pete is an inventor of 12 patented technologies, and his research has led to 3 Trinity campus companies, Genable, Junction Therapeutics, and Ixora. Indeed, Pete was one of the pioneers of innovation at Trinity. In 1989, Pete wrote to Tim Mantle of Bioresearch Ireland, the government department at the time responsible for funding Irish biotechnology research, reporting the discovery of the location of a gene causing a dominant form of retinitis pigmentosa. He politely inquired whether Bioresearch Ireland would be interested in funding the research. Today, this letter is framed and hangs in the offices of Trinity Research and Innovation. Fast forward 27 years to 2016. This discovery was the genesis of the research that followed, including colleagues Jane Farrar and Paul Kenner, which ultimately led to Genable Technologies, a Trinity campus company that was acquired by US biopharma Spark Therapeutics in a deal worth more than 15 million. Spark, in turn, was acquired by Roche last year. Importantly, these major deals have brought the vision of pioneering academics such as Professor Pete Humphreys in treating patients with genetic therapies a step closer to reality. Pete is a Fellow of Trinity College Dublin and a member of the Royal Irish Academy. His memberships and advisory board positions are too many to mention here, but include Ireland's first membership of the Human Genome Organisation in 1989 and membership of the Alcon Research Institute, having received the Alcon Prize for Outstanding Contributions to Vision Research in 1993. Pete's colleagues in the School of Genetics and Microbiology have highlighted his strengths as a hugely admired teacher, together with the time and energy he has and still is dedicating to supporting the staff and students in the school. One common theme that has been emphasised in relation to Pete is his humanity. Many congratulations to Pete Humphreys. We now have a video featuring Pete in celebration of his award and his achievements. We also have Pete here with us this evening to say a few words after the video.
There's a really interesting tradition of eye research here in Trinity College Dublin, and I'm going to spend just a couple of minutes describing some of this to you. You may find it fascinating. If you could see the inscription on the top of this little old building here, it would read St Mark's Ophthalmic Hospital. We're on the very site of that hospital, which was founded in 1848 by William Wilde, Oscar's father, believe it or not. He was a very well-known and eminent ocular surgeon and physician. And here is actually one of William's prescriptions. Atropine sulfate, the eye drops to be used daily, signed by Wilde. And here we have a lovely portrait of William. But a long time before that, back in 1819, Arthur Jacob, a physician here in Dublin as well, who lectured in our medical school, was the first person to describe a membrane at the back of the eye, and he described it as the most beautiful specimen of a delicate tissue which the human body affords. I think that's a lovely explanation. And of course, he was describing the retina for the first time, and for many, many years the retina was known as membrana Iacobi, Jacob's membrane, after the discovery of Arthur Jacob back in 1819. Now, what all parts of the eye, unfortunately, as we're only too aware, cornea, lens, vitreous, choroid, all parts of the eye are susceptible to disease, the basis of disease. But it's those diseases which involve degeneration of the retina which are the most prevalent causes of visual handicap in the young and in the working age and in the elderly population, not only in this country, but basically in all developed parts of the world. And all of these conditions, for example, prominent are Leber congenital amaurosis, LCA, retinitis pigmentosa, RP, age-related macular degeneration, AMD. All of these diseases, they're common. We all know somebody with AMD, for example. They have a major genetic component. So 35 years ago, back in the mid-1980s, with the support of a very active charitable foundation, RP Ireland, Fighting Blindness, the group here began to start asking if they could localize and characterize genes involved in these degenerative eye conditions. The rationale, of course, was the more we learn of the function of these genes, the more chance we may have in developing therapeutics. And so that research began in 1985, and the first gene to be identified was in 1989, encoding a substance called rhodopsin. A second gene in 1991, encoding peripherin. And a third gene in 1993, encoding inosine monophosphate dehydrogenase 1. What a mouthful. So these genes, there was a worldwide effort to identify the genetic components associated with these conditions. And at this stage, our knowledge is profound. We have a great knowledge of the genetic basis, which puts us in a very advantageous position to now start saying, how can we exploit this? How can we develop therapeutics based on this knowledge? Of course, developing therapeutics, it's a different ballgame. It requires IP, intellectual property. It requires commercial activity. So it's a far different game to doing pure research. One of the major developments was the establishment of a spin-out campus company, Genable Technologies, which was based around IP conceived and developed by my colleagues Jane Farrer and Paul Kenner and other colleagues, in which a gene therapy targeting dominant forms of inherited retinopathy were being developed. That company was acquired by Spark Therapeutics, the Philadelphia gene therapy company, in 2017 for further development. I was very fortunate to be involved in some of the work of Matt Campbell and Sarah Doyle. They made a remarkable discovery in the field of age-related macular degeneration. People with this disease develop yellow debris in the central part of the retina. We call this drusen. And they were able to show that drusen actually is protective in AMD. It has a protective function in that it can induce a substance called IL-18, which is potently anti-neovascular, and neovascularization is a major cause of pathology in AMD. I think there are profound therapeutic implications in that work. A more recent spin-out was the company Exura, in which Matt Campbell and Jeff O'Callaghan had major input into. And this company was spun out of the Ocular Genetics Unit out of IP which emanated from an advanced ERC grant targeting treatment-resistant glaucoma. You might say, well, hang on, glaucoma is treatable, isn't it? You just use eye drops. pressure-reducing eye drops. Well, it's true, but 7%, actually maybe even 10% of people with this disease become resistant to conventional eye drops or don't respond. So there's a need there for more efficient means of treatment of this disease, and glaucoma is a major sight-threatening disease. At least 250,000 people in Europe, for example, are resistant to current medications. So I'm delighted to see that development happening. I'm also very pleased that in a small pilot proof of concept phase 1 study, we now have patients in Ireland who have advanced RP of a specific genetic subtype, which are responding to an oral retinoid therapy, improving their visual fields. I think that's a really interesting development, and I look forward to how that will develop and expand in future years. It's obviously impossible in the time available to acknowledge all of the names of all of the people who are involved in this project, but I would like to acknowledge the support and help of Dr. Marion Humphreys, who was involved in this project since its inception. So thank you very much, Marion. And well, it's been a very interesting 35 years, in fact. Very interesting, and it's been a privilege for me to have been able to work with such a dynamic and dedicated group of good individuals. It's been an absolute pleasure to be involved. And I'm very, very honoured, of course, to have received this Lifetime Award. I'm very humbled to do that. And of course, it's a team effort. It's a complete team effort, and I have been delighted to have been able to have provided some assistance in the development of these projects. And I'm certainly very, very glad. I would not have done anything else. I'm very glad that I've been able to participate in this area over the many decades, and I will continue to maintain such an interest as I sail my boat off into a calm sunset, perhaps in the not too distant future. Well, I'd forgotten all about the letter to BioResearch Ireland, Samantha. I must come back and have a look at that. Goes back a long way. It's a great honour to have been given this award. I'm so pleased, delighted. And it's been a real privilege to have been involved in the community of Trinity all of these years. It's been a marvellous experience for me. I'd like to thank all members of genetics and indeed many, many other departments for the tremendous help and support they've given me all over these years. It's been a marvellous environment to have worked in. I'm so pleased to have been involved. I'd also like to thank Trinity Research and Innovation for its professionalism, its dynamic support, encouragement, and its sage advice. It's been tremendous to have had the experience of working with you guys. So thank you very much indeed. And of course, it's a tribute to a fantastic team of researchers, which I've had the good fortune to have worked with over these many, many years. And it's an experience that I am tremendously grateful for. It's immensely challenging, sometimes incredibly stressful. The international competition is truly immense. Finance is always a worry. Of course, research is very expensive, but immensely satisfying. And I would simply like to wish the team every success as it moves into the 2020s and beyond in its endeavours to lessen the huge negative social and economic impacts of this tremendously devastating group of conditions. Thank you all, and good luck with the ongoing work as it moves into the 2020s and onwards. Thank you very much.
And congratulations again to Pete. And now on to the main award of the evening, the Provost Innovation Award. The Provost Innovation Award is presented to an academic who has made an outstanding contribution to innovation. Previous winners include Professor Luke O'Neill, Intel, and Professor Vincent Wade. And I think you'll agree that this year's recipient is certainly a worthy winner. Our winner tonight is Professor of Experimental Immunology and is also the Academic Director of Trinity Biomedical Sciences Institute. He is the leader of the Immunology, Inflammation and Infection Research theme at Trinity and was recently awarded the prestigious SFI Researcher of the Year 2020. He is a member of several international scientific advisory panels on immunotherapy and vaccines, including 2 at the World Health Organization, and is a member of the European Research Council Advanced Grant Panel on Infection and Immunity. Alongside this eminent research career, he is also an innovative and entrepreneurial academic. He is an inventor on 17 patents and has had numerous commercialization awards and has led significant industry collaborations for Trinity. He has co-founded 3 startup biotech companies focusing on the development of immunotherapeutics for inflammatory diseases and cancer, including Opsona Therapeutics, Trimod Therapeutics, and most recently, Parvalis. In the midst of the COVID pandemic, he was instrumental in securing a €7.5 million investment to establish the COVID-19 Research Hub, a strategic partnership funded by Science Foundation Ireland, together with Allied Irish Bank and several industry partners. The partnership, which specifically focuses on the immunology of SARS-CoV-2, brings together a strong multi- and interdisciplinary team of world-class immunologists and clinicians, combining the leading expertise of Trinity College with other national and international collaborators. It gives me great pleasure to announce that the winner of this year's Provost Innovation Award is Professor Kingston Mills. We are now going to have a video celebrating Kingston's many achievements, and then we will hear from the man himself.
Well, I'm delighted to receive this award. I'll start by thanking the Provost and Leonard Hobbs and all the members of the Trinity Research and Innovation Office. It's indeed a great honour to be singled out amongst all the great scientists in Trinity and the people who have been involved in innovation activity over the last year. I'd like to also thank my research team, because none of this would be possible without the hard work, the research that goes on in my lab with PhD students and postdocs. There have been about 50 PhD students in my career and a similar number of postdocs, all who have contributed to the discoveries that have led to the patents that have led to the commercial activity. The people in Trinity Research and Innovation have been unbelievably helpful over the years. I'm going to mention a few, and I'm sorry to those who I miss out on. Emily Veriker, when she was in the office, was instrumental in helping me file a lot of the patents, and more recently Emma and Aoife helped with those, but also people like Deirdre Cadden, Camilla Kelly, Kieran McAvoy, Una Kinsman, and others who helped me in submitting the grant applications that led to the funding that resulted in the formation of companies. So really it all started with SFI funding when I came to Trinity in 2002. I was lucky enough to be one of the first recipients of a large, when I say large, €6 million research funding just for my own group, and that allowed me to really expand my group dramatically. One of the conditions of SFI funding was to protect our intellectual property, and that changed our mindset. And in the 5 years of that first SFI grant, we published around 50 papers, we filed about 6 to 8 patents, and we founded a startup company at the end of this. Was co-founded with Luke O'Neill, Mark Heffernan and Dermot Kelleher, Opsona Therapeutics. That company went on to raise 65 million in venture funding and had 23 people employed at its peak. It got into phase 2 with its lead product, but that product failed in phase 2, and the company went by the board then. But I think the lesson I learned from that was an entrepreneurial spirit, and to not be put off by failure. And in fact, if anything, you learn a lot more from failure than you do from success. So I went on to found a second startup company, Trimod, with Jeremy Skillington in the cancer area. That too didn't get to the level that we'd have liked to have got, but we did raise seed funding. It was in the middle of the recession, so it was bad timing. I'm now hoping to and make an announcement in coming weeks about a third venture that we're close to securing funding for. My activity in commercial sense has been driven by basic research. So all the discoveries that result in the patents come from funding of basic fundamental research. And thanks to SFI and other funders like the Health Research Board, Enterprise Ireland, European Union, but also through industry. Over the years, I've had a lot of collaborations with industry. These are pharmaceutical companies that are interested in anti-inflammatory therapeutics or vaccines. And we've led a number of strategic partnerships. The most recent of these, of course, is the COVID-19 response, the immunology project. We were lucky enough to get 2.4 million from the Isle Irish Bank, and that was through the work that the Trinity Foundation did, and I was assisting them with that. So that was the start of a new project which is now running and involves about 20 postdoctoral fellows, several labs here in Trinity Biomedical Sciences Institute, but also in Trinity Translation and Medicine Institute. So that's a part of the global research effort to tackle COVID-19, and we're developing new testing methods, looking at the immune response in patients, and helping to design effective therapies, and also part of the vaccine program. We've heard very good news in the last few days about vaccines, but this is only the beginning of the hunt to get a really long-term effective vaccine that has sustained protective immunity, and this project is also involved in that area. When we work in the lab doing basic research, sometimes we stumble across things which are very interesting, and it's really been able to recognize the commercial potential of those discoveries and not to disclose them before filing patents. And I think that's key to successful entrepreneurship, to spot the discoveries that have commercial potential. And we were lucky enough to make some discoveries in my lab where we filed patents that ended up being licensed to either pharma or to our own startup companies. So that was really the mantra at how I operated over the last 20 years that I've been in Trinity, of making sure that we filed patents around important discoveries, but not about just everything, really the important ones that we thought would result in commercial development. I'd like to finish by thanking important people in my life, my family. I wouldn't have got to where I am today without the huge support of my wife, Marina Lynch, who's also a scientist and a Trinity professor in neuroscience. She's been incredibly supportive and helpful over the years in terms of being in the background and being able to discuss across the dinner table science almost on a nightly basis. Also like to thank my two children. My daughter Ivana is also an immunologist. She's currently a postdoc in Harvard and has already published probably more big papers in her career than I have in my whole life to date. My son as well, Tim, is an engineer, and he has just returned to college to do architecture, so he's following his passion as well. So as well as thanking my family, I'd like to thank the Provost and Trinity Research and Innovation for this award. It's indeed a huge honour to be given the 2020 Provost Innovation Award. Okay, thank you very much, everybody, and thank you, Trinity Research and Innovation, for this award, which is absolutely beautiful, and I'm really, really delighted to have been chosen among so many great people in Trinity for this award. I know I may have been a thorn in the side of some people in Trinity Research and Innovation over the years because of my demanding attitude when it comes to getting things done, but it's how progress is achieved. I don't want everything done yesterday, so I may have been rather over anxious with a lot of people over the years, but I really have to thank the people in TRI for helping me with all the patents, the industry collaborative agreements, and the grant applications and the submissions and the checking and all that aspect of it. I'd also like to thank my colleagues in the School of Biochemistry and Immunology, because I have to say it's been one wonderful place to work. Very collegiate colleagues to work with, who have shared their facilities, their ideas, their thoughts, but also going to the pub on a Friday night, which of course at the moment we can't do. Hopefully next year, when we have a vaccine in place, life will be back to some sort of normality and we can get back to doing what we like doing best, which is research and chatting about it over a pint in Kennedy's or the Lincoln. Thank you, Provost, and thank you, Leonard, and all in TRI for this award. It's been a fantastic honour.
I think Leonard was going to say a few words to close our awards evening. A few thank yous to the team in TRNI who were involved in putting the awards ceremony together, to Emma and to Lorraine. Obviously, a big thank you and a big congratulations to all our nominees and our winners this evening. We hope everybody's really enjoyed the evening. Thank you to the Provost for joining us and our campus companies for making the videos that were so enjoyable throughout the evening as well. So I think at this point, we're happy to close the evening, but we hope everybody's had a really enjoyable evening, and thank you very much for joining us. Thank you.